We are almost to the weekend, and if you have been waiting for some relief to the heat, it's coming. We've got that moving our way tomorrow. We've been talking about this all week long, how we're going to cool down going into the weekend, and now it's here. We're just waiting for this front to move through, and then behind that front, we are going to have a northeasterly wind, and that's going to cool us off a good bit. It's somewhat of a summertime wedge that's going to be moving our way. We're going to go into the lower 80s for a high temperature here for Saturday, and then on Sunday, we're talking about temperatures only in the 70s. Now, I know that when you're thinking of that, you're hoping it's going to be bright and sunny and cool. Well, the problem is we're not going to see a lot of sunshine at all. We're going to have a pretty good coverage of clouds around, and we're still going to be dealing with some sporadic showers that'll be pushing through our area. At least the strong thunderstorm risk is going to come down a little bit since our air is not quite that hot, but still running for cover every once in a while from some showers that are going to be developing. Out there right now in Atlanta, we're seeing things calm down a bit. We had a few showers in our area earlier, and we still have some raindrops in the metro area here and there with the clouds that we have moving through. But we had a good area of rain that moved through Atlanta late this afternoon. That pushed off to the east. We had some additional storms there on the south side that moved on down to the south and east, and then those fell apart as they pushed down toward the Macon area and out toward Augusta. And now left behind, though, is just still that good coverage of clouds around, and every once in a while, there just are a few raindrops out there. We're also keeping an eye on these storms that are up in North Georgia right now and Northwest Georgia. We have some back in Alabama, too, with some heavy rain and thunder and lightning. These are the stronger ones at this hour here in parts of Whitfield County and Murray County, trying to move into Gilmer County and Fannin County. We're getting a couple of those there in North Georgia that are beginning to produce a little bit of lightning in parts of Fannin and Gilmer County. You know, that stuff back in Whitfield and Murray County, that already has some lightning, but now a couple of new storms are starting to develop in Gilmer and Fannin County. Here's a look in the city where we, again, don't have a lot of rain coming down, just maybe a couple of raindrops here and there, as a lot of that green that we had earlier with the lighter rain is pushing away. And again, up to the north of us, up toward Canton, just a couple of sprinkles there, really right along 575. Also back into Polk County, moving into Paulding County, parts of northern Haralson County, north of Buchanan, just a few raindrops in those areas as well. And then here's what we're watching. We had an area of rain that was up in northwest Georgia and Rome. We also had some lightning strikes just about an hour and a half ago in parts of Bartow County. That's moving down to the south and east, and that's what's left of that right now along 575 with just those few raindrops there kind of dampening the roadways. But here's a look at the more active part of the system. Now, this was looking really impressive earlier, coming out of Tennessee, moving into Dade and Walker County, and also into these areas of Catoosa County. Watch this right here where we had that intense area of very heavy rain along 75 in Catoosa County near Ringgold. We had some reports there from an emergency manager, actually from a law enforcement official, saying that there were a couple of roads that were flooded. One of those that was up in the Somerville area down here, as well as one up in Ringgold where we had some flooding in parts of northwest Georgia. But now that storm that caused that is pushing down to the south and falling apart. And then next to it, we have some other storms that are developing. These are the ones that we're seeing in Whitfield County and also Murray County. And then on the side of that, that's what we're watching there over into parts of Gilmer County. Now, we've got about 42 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes out of that. I want to zoom in closer to these that are just starting to develop there near Higdon, also near the Ellijay area. These are just starting to pop up, really most likely just maybe from a little bit of an outflow from these storms that are over to the west that are trying to fall apart a little bit. But it's a couple of showers with a little bit with that lightning there south of Ellijay, another one developing there at Cartacay, and these near Higdon and Mineral Bluff, getting closer to the Blue Ridge area where we have a few showers moving through. But again, nothing too strong with those showers out there. And then on the south side, not a lot going on here, a couple of raindrops here and there, but nothing really major going on. So things are calming down out there for tonight, except for those one up in North Georgia, still holding together, but they're also showing signs of weakening as they move down toward the south and also to the west. So Things should be improving tonight. Again, as this front moves through, we can still see a couple of those scattered showers around, but it's that front that's actually going to give us some pretty nice weather, or cooler weather as we move into the weekend. Here is a live view. Okay, did y'all see that lightning right when we took that shot there? This is up in Blue Ridge, and we're looking on really toward more of the south and west right there, just down the street, where, of course, you see these dark clouds. We're going to see some good rain coming into Blue Ridge here in just a little bit, and it's coming from this direction. So this is kind of looking southwest. These storms are coming more from the west here, and we're going to see some wet roads in the Blue Ridge area really soon. And again, right when we took this shot, you saw some of those flashes of lightning there from the distance from a couple of those storms that are going to be pushing into the Blue Ridge area. This is a look in Rome. We're also looking up toward the north and east toward those storms, and you can see some of the clouds there in the distance, those darker clouds. Now that it's getting dark outside, we also may see a few flashes of lightning here out of those storms there. But again, we're not seeing as much lightning in those areas as we did see just a little while ago. So again, just cloudy skies in the Rome area. They had some good showers there in Rome a little bit earlier. This is our tower cam here from Arizona Avenue, looking toward the city, and we don't really even see here the tops of the buildings, as we've got a lot of moisture around, low-lying clouds in some spots, maybe even some patchy fog in some areas. So that's how it's looking here in the metro area. All right, look at the almanac today. It got up to 94 degrees, and you might be thinking, wait a minute, late this afternoon it didn't feel like it was 94. That's because that 94-degree temperature came in pretty soon after lunch, between noon and maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'll show you the hour by hour in just a minute. Then we had some showers come in near Hartsfield-Jackson, and that cooled things down. Cooled things down a good bit. So 94 was the high today. The low this morning was 73. So we were about 4 degrees above the average. Now, I want you to notice this. The average high for this time of year, 90 degrees. We talk about that almost every night here. But this is a significant number because we have had so many days that have been above the average. Now with this cooler air moving in, we're going to have an extended number of days with temperatures that are going to be below average. We're not going to make it into the 90s here tomorrow, and then we're not going to make it into the 90s, we don't think, for the next 7 days. So we're going to be below average there for a while. The record for today's date, 99, so we missed that by 3 degrees. And then officially at Hartsfield-Jackson, even though we had some rain nearby, and even though we had some travel delays because of those nearby thunderstorms, we only picked up 0.03 of an inch of rain officially at Hartsfield-Jackson, so our rainfall deficit there is back to right at an inch below where we should be in rainfall. We really should be catching up on that deficit for a good bit as we go through the rest of this week, but it all just depends on if some of those scattered showers will be on top of Hartsfield-Jackson in the official rain gauge. There's that low this morning in the 70s. Okay, so this is how we were rising quickly during the day today. We held in the 70s till about 9. 82 at 10. At noon, we were still in the 80s, just at 88 degrees. Now, I'll say just at 88 because some of those days when it was intensely hot, at the noontime hour, we were already up to 90 and 92. So today we were at 88. We did get up, this says 93, but either before or right after this hourly there at 2 o'clock, we hit 94 degrees. Then clouds started thickening up and we started losing some sunshine. We had a temperature at 90 degrees there at 3 o'clock. And then we had some of that rain nearby Hartsfield. And again, a couple of showers there. That dropped us into the lower 80s. And then with those showers, we dropped there into the 70s. And then we've been holding in the 70s ever since through the evening hours. And I really don't think we're going to see any big time jumps or drops in those temperatures here for the rest of the overnight hours. We're pretty much going to hold there in those mid 70s through the early morning hours tomorrow. What I want you to watch for tomorrow, okay, we've been so excited about these cooler temperatures coming in here with highs only in the 80s. But the problem is, if you're expecting to see sunshine and cooler air, we're not going to deal with that. We're still going to have some sporadic showers throughout the day. Maybe some rumbles of thunder and flashes of lightning, but we don't think we're going to have any strong thunderstorms developing. So just be aware for those on and off, or off and on showers. It's not going to rain all day, and I don't think we'll see a lot of that sunshine, but just know, keep your umbrella with you because these showers could happen at any time of the day. It's going to be more than just the afternoon and evening variety of showers, although I do think in the afternoon and evening, those rain chances are going to be just a little bit higher. So take a look at the severe weather threat for the rest of the nighttime hours. If you were watching us earlier, we were showing you how really a big part of metro Atlanta back into Alabama was in this level 1 risk. The Storm Prediction Center has kind of pushed that down to the south a little bit more. So metro Atlanta is no longer included in that level 1 risk. Now it does include counties like over here toward LaGrange, Meriwether, LaGrange here in Meriwether County, down in Upson County, Pike, Lamar County, Butts County, and then also this tier here at Heard County, Coweta County, Fayette, a little bit of Clayton County, Spalding County, Henry, also into Jasper, Morgan, Jasper County here, Putnam County, Morgan, and Newton County, and Greene County. Those are the counties still in that level 1 risk for a couple of isolated, stronger storms that could still occur. Notice that the dark green color goes away tomorrow, and that pushes down to the south. That's where we have a level 1 risk here during the day tomorrow. And the reason we are seeing our severe weather threat go down tomorrow is thanks to those cooling temperatures coming out of the north and east, and it's going to be more stable air pushing in. So that's why we don't think we're going to have any real issues with any strong thunderstorms here during the day tomorrow. Look at these temperatures right now. Remember, rain-cooled air helped us out, brought us in the 70s. We're in the 70s now. We'll pretty much hold there in those mid-70s. We might go down another degree or two here during those overnight hours. 80 degrees though in Canton, 82 in Gainesville, 80 in Athens. They didn't see as many showers over on the east side there for today. So here's a look at what we're watching, those early morning temperatures around 74 degrees. There may be a few showers early on tomorrow, and then some breaks, and then in the afternoon, a few more showers coming in. So it's just going to be that off and on variety. With that high temperature tomorrow, how about this? 83 degrees. That's going to be pretty nice compared to the mid and upper 90s we've been dealing with this week, and we remember we had the triple-digit temperatures earlier this week too. So here's a look at the forecast track, and this shows us where we have, again, just the spotty light showers around the metro area, and then we've got a few of those heavier showers up in far north Georgia. So that's going to keep moving to the east and then eventually fall apart. And then we're going to start off tomorrow morning with clouds around, maybe some fog in some areas too, depending on how much wind we can get once that wind shifts. And look at this. This is what I want you to notice of the differences here. You see those arrows coming out of the north and east. That's that summertime wedge bringing in more of a shallow layer of cooler air at the surface. But at the same time, riding up and over that, we're going to have more warm and moist air. So that's why we're still going to have those off and on showers. I do think it'll be a lighter variety of rain, maybe some mist and drizzle in some spots, but nothing really organized moving through during the day on Saturday. You see just the spotty nature of just a few of these clouds, but still a pretty good overcast. So I'm not thinking we're going to see a lot of sun, maybe a little bit breaking out later in the day. But also I want you to notice that it's not going to be a rain out. We'll just have those showers off and on at any time there during the day. On Saturday night, still a couple of showers possible there. Then going into Sunday, still that easterly flow, but I think we're going to see a few more showers here on Sunday, even starting early in the morning, and some better coverage of those showers here at lunchtime and into the afternoon, maybe breaking up a little bit more before additional showers will develop later on. And then Monday, a lot of kids going to school Monday morning. Some of you may have to have umbrellas there at the bus stops and when you're heading into school, as we're actually going to see a better coverage of rain on Monday around the lunchtime hour and then going into the early evening hours as well. So just know it's going to be more of those showers coming up through the week. Now, Saturday's rain chance at 40%. We go to 60% Sunday, back to 40% Monday, Tuesday, as well as on Wednesday. And then look at the rain comparison. The models are trying to come together a little bit more. Remember, we had some wide ranges there with the European model showing some areas getting 4+ inches of rain. Well, it's still showing more rain over to the east of us, but for Atlanta, the European model showing about 2.5 inches, the American model showing around 2, with the higher amounts down to the south of us. So again, we do expect more rain to come in, and you can see here by looking at the European model that it just doesn't go anywhere. We don't have any type of front that's going to usher in some much drier air moving in. In fact, the front that's moving our way is giving us that easterly flow, which is just going to introduce another round of moisture pushing into our area. So here's the thing that we're really most excited about, those cooler temperatures. 83 for a high on Saturday, 78 on Sunday. We may not even make it into the 80s on Sunday, but that better coverage of cloud cover and a few more of those showers around. Then on Monday, we're back to 80 degrees, 40% chance for some rain. Going into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 40% chance for rain. Lower 80s Tuesday, mid 80s Wednesday and Thursday. Also mid 80s on Friday, with the rain chances trending down just a little bit to about 30%. Be sure to stay with us throughout the weekend. We'll have more updates for you here on 11 Alive Plus and Weather Impact 24/7, as well as on 11 Alive Plus. I'll have another update for you coming up tonight at 11 o'clock on 11 Alive News.